When the nation speaks, the roundtable listen, Tuesday and Thursday, 10 p.m. Join the conversation that matter the most, live, unfiltered, unapologetic, with local voices and international minds. The roundtable dive deep into today's toughest questions in society, politics, culture. Nothing is off limits. Your voice, your questions, your platform. Live on Wiz TV, featuring top panelists, Mr. Samuel Abu, Mr. Hamed Fofana, Mr. Cyrus Gray, Mr. Jai Blamo, and your host, William McGill. Heated debate, eye-opening truths, and real impact. Tune in to the Roundtable every Tuesday and Thursday, only on Wiz TV Live. The Roundtable, where every voice counts. When the nation speaks, the Roundtable listen, Tuesday and Thursday, 10 p.m. Join the conversation that matter the most, live, unfiltered, unapologetic, with local voices and international minds. The Roundtable dive deep into today's toughest questions in society, politics, culture. Nothing is off limits. Your voice, your questions, your platform. Live on Wiz TV, featuring top panelists, Mr. Samuel Abu, Mr. Hamed Fofana, Mr. Cyrus Gray, Mr. Jai Blamo, and your host, William McGill. Heated debate, eye-opening truths, and real impact. Tune in to the Roundtable every Tuesday and Thursday, only on Wiz TV Live. The Roundtable, where every voice counts. When the nation speaks, the Roundtable listen, Tuesday and Thursday, 10 p.m. Join the conversation that matter the most, live, unfiltered, unapologetic, with local voices and international minds. The Roundtable dive deep into today's toughest questions in society, politics, culture. Nothing is off limits. Your voice, your questions, your platform. Live on Wiz TV, featuring top panelists, Mr. Samuel Abu, Mr. Hamed Fofana, Mr. Cyrus Gray, Mr. Jai Blamo, and your host, William McGill. Heated debate, eye-opening truths, and real impact. Tune in to the Roundtable every Tuesday and Thursday, only on Wiz TV Live. Roundtable.
During the process, leaders are explaining how they feel seeing the first overpass bridge being groundbreak today. How are you, Chief? What's your name? You live around here?
Yeah, I live in far for the
Been observing the demolition exercise of houses around your area. And today, the president will break ground of the first overpass bridge at Labrin. How do you feel?
I'm very, very impressed of the project because it will help Labrin to ease the traffic.
You want to help ease the traffic?
Yeah.
What can you say to the president and those that are crying for their house that have been damaged?
No, what I can say to the president, he just need to focus. The issue of Liberia is not need to have soft mind. You got to focus, have the manner. Why you come to do it, do it. It's better when you leave, let people praise you. And to focus on criticism, just focus on what you want to do.
What could you say to people who are criticizing this project and the government as well?
I just wanted to be patient, man. After the 6 years, they will see a hammer because government is not something that you can just come and then start running with projects, plans, and also money spending.
Project should last for 2 years, and if not deliver within the 2 years, could you feel discouraged as a Liberian?
No, because the first of all, it's a donor, it's not our own money. So we just pay and then continue talking to our partner that are helping us to face our air bridge.
Thank you so much.
Your name? Fanny Smith.
Today I did a post on mercenary journalism. I'm sure many of you Liberians in and out of Liberia have read my post. If there's any lawyer in Liberia who should speak for and against journalists, it should be me. Why I say so? I have the credibility to do so. I have been a defender of the press and the actors in the press, journalists, from the 1990s up to now. One of the reasons I went to jail in 2002 was my effort in releasing journalists from jail all of the time and speaking for them whenever they were in trouble. Getting them out of police cell, going to the magistrate courts, everywhere. I even drafted the law that is called the Kamara law today. But we fought for press freedom so that the press can be used to inform, educate, and entertain the Liberian people and residents here. Sadly, today, some journalists have decided to use the profession for money making. Money making is not bad, but when you make money to undermine the development of Liberia, that is bad. Journalists that take money from government officials to kill bad stories about them. Journalists that take money from business people, bad business people, to kill stories about them. Journalists that take money to write bad stories about good people in society are the journalists that are called mercenary journalists. We don't need them. I'm prepared to keep fighting for journalists. I still do that today. But I really don't like mercenary journalists. They are a disservice to the profession. So today I ask all Liberians in and out of government to join me to denounce mercenary journalism. It is bad. It's not good for our country. We didn't fight for press freedom, for people to use the press as a money-making thing against public interest, against the interest of our society. Thank you very much for listening to me.
From the east to the west, north to the south, let's come together as one. They say you're not there, we stand divided, we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for you. While you forget that, you from Lower County, you from Maryland, while you from Rewa Cess. I'm about that way on your people, I walk on the fine way. Tabila, Kriwako. I love Liberia, freeland, I live until Liberia, I love Liberia, they play for me and you, Liberia,
I was raised in the slum, but I chilled with my guns. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the bones. True son of the sun, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love that I be. Even though it's sport, when we show we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my hand, I holding your own. United, we stand, divided, we fall.
From the east to the west, north to the south.
So anybody want like it, you know, so you're selling drugs?
And they stop you from selling drugs.
They stop me from selling
and that was why you're getting your income from.
What?
You're getting income from that. And they stop you from doing it.
Yeah, they stop me from
so that's why you're protesting.
The protesting for working in the country and protesting for them to get off freedom. We are also about this. We are citizens for this nation. We need freedom in this country.
You're not getting freedom to do your business?
Yes.
Do you still want to do your business and they stop you from doing it?
Yes.
You still want to do it?
I still want to do it.
Still want to sell it?
That's my game.
When were you selling it?
I selling my drugs in part-time.
Which time? We have administration.
I start selling my doing anytime. All the now I'm still selling, but my business goes down.
They have a first stringent measures against your job, sale or what?
Why you say?
They crack it down on you who are selling your job or what?
They keep suppressing me. Just they put $150,000 for me.
Is it a bad thing to you?
Yes.
How you see the sale of jobs?
I see the sale of jobs because I need support from my family. I need to get my family money now. I'm care of 4 living children in this country right now. No support and my parents are focusing on me. Since I graduated from high school, no other thing for me to do. So I just try to join my car. They just dollar bill. Who can't money no more way.
So what you do your business?
No, I'm a forever trade man. I'm a trade at MCDC.
What about trade do you do?
I do general mechanic, I spend in car AC.
Do you have work now?
I don't have work, I won't work. Anywhere I go to the point say, you feeling with school, everybody feeling with school. Everybody needs go to school.
Oh, that's why you have diploma, high school diploma.
I get high school diploma. I'm not feeling with school. But I learn my trade. I'm a bona fide trade man. Yeah, what's up, son?
So that's
for my trade, make people call me dollar bill because I'm serious. But now, nothing doing. I
I was working there, bro. Tell me from down to nothing, bro. I was selling market. They put in supreme, they gave me just one from the talk to me, so I leave.
Which kind of market you're selling?
Nothing, I was selling food.
Push.
Yeah.
So and they keep suppressing you.
They started suppressing for this government or
Government.
this government?
This government suppress us. Just everyone they see to be a party for you, right? They want me to get me
High school graduate, with a diploma, was sent up there applying to law companies, no job. Yeah. When we go, they say, no job because of your government, say bad government, say practice. So we stay setting, we want to work.
Thank you.
And then they think I can get money, they stop you to do it.
Why can you get you money?
I would say just to get money, but it's stopping the judge to not go.
Do you think that's the right thing to do?
Hey, I don't think that's the right thing to do, but because no job, that's why I'm doing this.
Oh, okay.
Why are you going to face?
Quelqu'un est missionnaire par français. Quelqu'un dit de dire au ministre en essai. Quelqu'un dit au ministre en essai. Tu dois rester. Quelqu'un de foreign essai. Quelqu'un a presque gagné tout massé. Quelqu'un dit de limer a presque nassé. Amanda. 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 Presque quelqu'un. Abbas, presque quelqu'un. 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 Dans la police. 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 Quelqu'un dit le limite à presque nassé.
Today I did a post on mercenary journalism. I'm sure many of you Liberians in and out of Liberia have read my post. If there's any lawyer in Liberia who should speak for and against journalists, it should be me. Why I say so? I have the credibility to do so. I have been a defender of the press and the actors in the press, journalists, from the 1990s up to now. One of the reasons I went to jail in 2002 was my effort in releasing journalists from jail all of the time and speaking for them whenever they were in trouble. Getting them out of police cell, going to the magistrate courts, everywhere. I even drafted the law that is called the Kamara law today. But we fought for press freedom so that the press can be used to inform, educate, and entertain the Liberian people and residents here. Sadly, today, some journalists have decided to use the profession for money making. Money making is not bad, but when you make money to undermine the development of Liberia, that is bad. Journalists that take money from government officials to kill bad stories about them. Journalists that take money from business people, bad business people, to kill stories about them. Journalists that take money to write bad stories about good people in society. are the journalists that are called mercenary journalists. We don't need them. I'm prepared to keep fighting for journalists. I still do that today. But I really don't like mercenary journalists. They are a disservice to the profession. So today I ask all Liberians in and out of government to join me to denounce mercenary journalism. It is bad. It's not good for our country. We didn't fight for press freedom, for people to use the press as a money-making thing against public interest, against the interests of our society. Thank you very much for listening to me.
I can't stand no more, cause I'm a fool. I cannot go to school, cause no more money. I can't stand no more, cause I'm a fool. I cannot go to school, cause no more money. Hey yo, excuse me Mr. Journalist, I wonder how you make your headlines in the press release a day. Although I read the news every day, but I'm really still getting confused now, and I just wanna ask you some questions. Oh, is it based on money? Is it based on presidency? Is it based on technology? Is it based on war? Tell me, we gotta make your headline. Oh, we gotta make your story. Yeah. There is no job, no money.
No job, no money. I'm a hustler. This is by Bicalo, and it's a nice song talking about the part journalists play in society as people that seem to be watchdog. Today is the ninth day of the 9th month in the year 2025, and we like to say good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to all of you, wherever you watching us from. It's a great pleasure to be back for this week presentation. My name is William McGill, and I have my boss is also on the show with me. Let me say, good afternoon and welcome. I greeting you from your time now.
Good afternoon, Bill. How are you today? I guess everything has been going well. We started coming on late. This is Wiz TV. My name is Samuel Abu, and we're going to be here talking about issues that are trending in our country, Liberia. We'll be given our personal views and the views of Wiz TV. We also want to please just have a disclaimer that any music that is playing in the background would not be, we don't have a copyright to that. So you listen to us. We can also have you call the number we place on the board, where you can want to call and also contribute. We'll be very happy to really entertain you, because this is a discussion. It's about Liberia. It's about our people. It's about our country. It's about making things go right and making things remain very normal for us in our country. We hear too many things that people are suffering, but sometimes it is good to discuss why are we suffering and how can we move forward instead of continuing to cry every day that things are not doing good. So let's look at the issues. Let's stay on the issues. Leave me as Samuel Abu and leave William McGill as who he is, and let's discuss the issues. I want to say thank you. And Bill, you can go ahead with the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for always coming on here. That's part of the basic schedule. So I will just give our listeners and our viewers as well, our talking points, and then we can now start with these discussions. We will look at a high profile case from the government angle, where the corruption there at the LTA, which is the Liberia Telecommunications Authority. It involved Abdullah El Kamara. He's also someone that is well known to be somebody who have share or own Tama TV, a Liberian
own television that is doing well, and he was sent out to the LTA to chair the LTA by President Boycott when he took over as president in less than 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And later on, we saw, the LACC, which is the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, enforcing criminal charges against him at criminal court C. So today we witness, uh, Mr. Kamara, Abdullah Kamara, taken to prison based on these corruption charges. We will dive in details of it. We're hoping to lay hands on the video as well, and you'll be able to watch. We have photographs of the situation as well. We'll display them. We're also going to touch a little bit, just our own layman knowledge on Liberia being part of the 87 nations. They are the Millennium Challenge Corporation, and Liberia's at number 47. We will look at that report a little bit, and we're hoping to have, an expert economist that will also join us on the program to talk more about this, because this involves money, and economy people there, that is something they can do. So if we have somebody, in the economic sector, in the financial sector, to be able to analyze and tell us if Liberia gets, qualified and have whatever amount that will be allotted for them, what it's gonna be like for people of Liberia, the government, everything in our country is about government have to do it. So yeah. So but lastly, we'll also talk about President Boakar's trip to the U.S. for the 80th United Nations General Assembly. And the president is there currently in the U.S., and the conference, the National Diaspora Conference, will also take place in Washington, D.C. And we hoping that, we can be able to bring you that right here on We's online television as well. And Mr. Abu will definitely give us details and talk about most of these things, because he's an experienced journalist and have spent a lot of time practicing in this field. You understand most of these things. So again, it's a pleasure, and let me say it's good to be back, Mr. Abu, especially on the Tuesday.
Thank you so much. And I think that's a very good roundup of the several things we're going to be discussing. Just because we have a very little time, and we'll try our best to just make haste, to touch on some of these activities. And just as you said earlier, we were being concerned about what we call this high-profile case about Abdullah Kamara being arrested and sent to the central prison, and I think later released on a bond. And there we look at it. Why was he really sent to that court? We believe that I think the LACC was the one that brought charges against him for some contract that he gave to himself. I mean, this is what we understand, is that the contract, he took the contract when he was outside of the organization, and later he agreed to take a position going to the organization as the head and the main decision maker. And we start looking at a conflict of interest in such a case. And he made sure they made a payment, and he took it for a packet, and he tried to make it look like he's not part of the company when he was member of that company before they got the contract. And later, when he became the head of the organization, he tried to act like he was not part of it. But there we are very happy that President Barkat and the Liberian government have this LACC. So their eyes are everywhere. So they're quick to catch you. You can keep it way in the air or even under the ground, they will catch it. So I think he was caught in a hook and taken to court. He has been playing a lot of ways, so that he cannot be held liable for what happened. But the court finally found out that, well, you are liable and you are complicit in this action that the LACC has brought, and he was sent to prison. But I saw some footage of a video. He was being released from Central Prison, and we saw a handful of people there. I think his family and friends were there to receive him. I saw that. Was that what happened? Do we have any footage of what really happened in the court today, or did the court have
Yeah,
a release?
I'm still trying to lay my hands on the video, but I do have photographs of Mr. Kamara, in that particular situation. But once I
Do
lay
you,
my
do you have a copy of whatever the indictment said he did?
let me just get it. Let me just get it quick. But I trying to hand down the photograph on our screen so viewers can be able to see exactly what happened there today at the Monrovia City Court. Let me just get this, and then yeah, let me just lay my hands on the indictment and exactly what it says, about the LACC boss. Not LACC, but former LTA.
LTA
Uh,
boss.
yeah, former LTA chair.
Yeah, many things have been happening. We do not understand. There's this lady who was acting as state minister of state. We understand even the letter appointing Clarence Massacre to take over because of their connection at the executive mansion. They held on Clarence Massacre's letter. It was not announced soon, but the letter was written and signed by the president. I understand, and Kamara still thought he could win this lawsuit and go back to his job, but he was already in a hole, and that was when Clarence Massacre was appointed to replace him. But he has some connection. I don't want to call a name, but somebody was there in the Ministry of State. And from what I do understand is that this person has been playing a very chickenery thing in that particular position, trying to
Quickly,
win
Miss,
favor
let
for
me just
specific group of
ask:
people.
is it the same Abdullah Kamara that is being indicted for corruption that wanted to ascend as Minister of State?
No, 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 no. Yes, some people were looking at it, but no, that's not him. That's not him at all.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay,
not
okay.
him. But just that he had a close affiliate at the Ministry of State, and that person still thought they were talking to the president to have him reinstated because his own explanation was that no, I did not know the company. And because he did not know the company, but there were records that he signed on behalf of the company, to get this contract from LTA or LTA. And then later, when he became the LTA boss, he decided to withdraw himself from it. So that itself would have been a conflict of interest, doing business, with your own company when you're not supposed to be doing that. I think that's how LTA, I mean, the LACC was able to come in immediately. But this person at the executive mansion wanted him to go back to the position, either a relative or somebody would call maybe a tribal person to him. They decided to hold on even the letter because the president has already replaced him with Clarence Massacre, and she decided I don't want to use the pronoun which will maybe help to identify the person. And then this letter was kept by somebody in the president's office and for Clarence Massacre's appointment, and it did not go through soon. However, with the wisdom of the old man and with of the president and other people around him, they were able to trace it, and Clarence Massacre was appointed, and he took his place. He has been commissioned, I think. But we
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
go deep into this case. I wanted to know what was on the indictment for him.
yeah. So, let me just bring some of what I've gathered per research and reports. It says, suspended chairman of the board of commissioners of the Liberia Telecommunication Authority, Abdullah El Kamara, has been released on bond following his arrest and brief detention at the Monrovia Central Precinct. Kamara was arrested on Tuesday, September 9, after the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission filed a criminal indictment against him. The indictment, authorized by the grand jury for Montserrat County, accused Kamara and others of multiple economic and financial crimes, including economic sabotage, theft of property, misuse of public funds, illegal disbursement and expenditure of public money, misapplication of entrusted property, criminal facilitation, criminal conspiracy, and criminal solicitation. The charges stemmed from Kamara's previous role as Chief Executive Officer of Tama Corporation before his appointment to the LTA. Like you rightly said, according to the court document, Kamara and Tama Corporation allegedly received payments totaling to 54,500 United States dollars and 22.5 million Liberian dollar in May of 2023. That was during the course of the election period, and an additional US 1.2 million between June and November 2023 from the LTA. These disbursements were reportedly made without a rating contract, board approval, or any defined scope of work. The funds were supposedly embarked for corporate social responsibility CRS activities under the Liberia Digital Transformation Project LDTP and government initiative targeting youth digital empowerment. The prosecution claims that the selection of Tama Corporation for the LDTP bypassed public procurement procedures requiring by the Public Procurement and Concession Commissions, making the deal unlawful. The payment were allegedly authorized by Edwina Krum Zakpa, then chairperson of the LTA. Investigation further alleged that no verifiable service were delivered in return, and that the funds remain unaccounted for. The LACC has accused the defendants of engaging in fraudulent activities with criminal intent, violating several sections of the Liberia Penal Code, Title 26. This report is long.
Okay, but the crux of the report is already there. We understand criminal facilitation, but just I would explain to you is that he was part of the Talama Corporation as CEO, and while he was holding that, he had a deal with his digital transformation. He brought his digital transformation that was supposed to be helping the Liberian government. But because he bought the idea, so he was also pushing, and he acted like he was not part of the Telema company or corporation when he forgot that he had earlier signed the contract, as CEO for the Telema corporation.
Mr. Abu, I don't think he actually forgot. He was playing.
Well, that was his manipulation.
Yeah.
So when he got in, now he became the member, he became the head of the LTA. Yeah, using his digital transformation. We have too many people who come to Liberia. They use these jargons and other things and try and resume they try to convince people that they are the ones who know what they are doing. So he was appointed. Based on that same quote unquote contract, at the executive mansion. He was appointed there, and he acted like he did not know about Telema Corporation. But because he knew about them, so he made sure that he made the payments the payments, he made the payments to the Telemark Corporation, which he owns or which he is part of. You know, those are some of the things that they are holding him for, you know, the criminal facilitation, you know, and paying this money for a deal, he did not go through the procurement commission that should have been the one, you know, to determine whether this payment was genuine or not, or whether this company was genuine. But because he was the managing director or the head of the agency, he assumed that it was genuine, and he knew that it was genuine, but the deed was not correct. So he used that person on the board to approve the payment. But the person on the board, as well, the SACA or that person, did not verify to know that they have gone through the the procurement commission, you know, to approve of this purchase or to approve of this deed, you know. So, but as doing the LCA, as I told you earlier, he was caught in the web, and when it came out, he's trying to use the same money to see how he can let people not talk about it. Even he knows, I cannot dispute that he doesn't know about this digital transformation. I was in Monrovia, I sat somewhere, he talked lengthily about it. I got convinced that he's one of the experts in it, but not knowing that he's just an expert crook.
I love that choice for and Mr. Abu, it tells you that this country there's a lot needs from ourselves, right? I remember about this digital transformation project undertaken by the government to empower a lot of young people to be able to understand things in the digital sector. And they ran this project for close to a month or 2 months, where you had thousands of young people, you know, went to apply. You have several other locations that they were, you know, selected to go and attend the program, which was spearheaded by Tama, you know, the mother company of you know, whatever other company on Tama Incorporated. And it shows that ourselves as Liberian, we're not fair to ourselves before even the country, because you can't take such an amount, and I tell you for free, I know most of these guys who went for that program, they still uh, you know, can't really perform in the computer and the digital thing they say they actually went for. And I think the LACC did a great job by pursuing this case, because I can't be working for Wiz TV, then I have a contract from government that I know I getting appointed, or I will get appointed to that position. I get a contract. When I get there, I still fighting for the contract to cross crooked D way, not a fair way, say, but the crooked D way cross. I will not be fair to myself, only because I want something personal, and I want something for, you know, my personal, you know, gain. So I try to make everything work in whatever possible ways. Who knows? Probably he have even, you know, increased the kind of money that Tama should have received during the course of that. No one knows that.
Well, it's because of his position that he definitely made sure that Telemark Corporation received the money as soon as he got in, because he knew that eventually he would be out. They were not following the proper procedure. So he made sure that he paid them first, so that anything happened, he will use that same money to fight the case. But as we are going now, we are very sure the president has been appointing and trying to make changes even in the judiciary. You know, we believe that many people will be getting justice, and the government itself will get justice. The government just needs to have more of defense lawyers, and the prosecution arm of the government must be very vigilant. You know, they go to these cases, maybe most of them, sometimes they go to the cases ill prepared, so they lose the cases. And sometimes it's not that the regular Liberian community will think, you know, that it is the judge who has been bought and this and that. No, the judges are looking at the case based on the facts that are adduced. If you say he did steal money, you should be able to bring receipts. You should be able to identify the funds that are not being accounted for. and he should be able to say, no, I accounted for the funds, and these are the receipts, and it must be some convincing facts that he should present to be able to get out. But now, if the prosecution is not able to present facts, it becomes a very difficult situation for the judges, and the judges are not going to make decisions just based on what people say or sentiments and emotions of the public. So we cannot, even if in the end he is maybe acquitted, we'll still believe that it would have been either the prosecution that was not able to adduce enough facts to convince the judge that this group is really liable, or Telemark Corporation or Camara is liable for it. So what we have to do now at this end is to be looking at the judge or looking at the court. Well, today they brought a bond, and the bond was used to free him. Okay, but that doesn't mean that he has been acquitted. They still have to go to court. It's just to stop him from staying in South Beach. That's a huge amount of money that's been eaten from government. And this should also be a lesson to those government officials who had their businesses before taking positions in government. If you had a contract already with a government agency, do not accept a job that will allow you to go up in that agency, especially being the person that will make decision. There is a lot of things we call conflict of interest, but in Liberia, many people wouldn't understand even the law or the law that we have that was passed by the legislature. The conflict of interest there is not well explained. Sometimes somebody will have to be hooked one day somewhere, and you'll have to go to the Supreme Court so that it can be explained further. Because no matter what happens, people are doing things they unconsciously wouldn't understand, that what they are doing is a something like a conflict of interest. They would do it, they would think that it is right, sometimes just based on what has happened before or based on their own biases that they have. They think that that is not a conflict of interest, but it should be a conflict of interest once you are running a business that is in the same entity or in the same sector as where you want to accept the job. You should immediately declare to the persons that you are, I have this business, and all these have to do with also members nominated by the president when they go before the Senate committee for confirmation. I mean, they should be able to declare exactly at that point, while going for confirmation, they should be able to declare to the confirmation board what they already have, what they have been involved in, to make sure that it doesn't conflict with the position that they are going to be accepting. Let them talk about that. Because if you don't talk about it, you go there, definitely you go with a set of mind that where government did business with me before, they were owing me $10,000, they didn't pay. When I go there now, I'm going to make sure that money will be paid, because that becomes a conflict of interest. And some of them, they believe that because the government is not an individual, it's an entity. So they try to blindfold the government, and go there and try to make sure they pay. And this was what Camara has done. And we still believe that, yes, Telemark Corporation is a legal entity. Registered with the government for business. Yes. But the very fact that, yes, they received the money, but we are not saying that the money they received was not good money. But why Mr. Camara had to prioritize their payment and even give them further contracts while he was at LTA now, and make sure those contracts were paid for without giving those contracts without having an arbitration with other companies, especially bidding, so that with the procurement commission, so that he went ahead and paid them. That was wrong. I think the judge should make sure, because what for most Liberians is that, he did steal money and he was placed in jail. The next day he was taken out of jail and he did not pay back the money. We should be open. If the court has ordered for this man to pay back that money, let the money be paid back. And that doesn't mean that he cannot have another job in government. He can have another job in government, but let that money he took be paid, because it looks so bad with the vulnerability of our population, where people feel, oh, the court did not do well, the government is allowing people to be corrupt and all of these things. I don't think there's a need to support the government.
Mr. Abu, do you actually think this government is doing well in terms of fighting corruption? Because we've seen a lot of government officials getting appointed, even the ones that were elected, during election. Also, we've seen several of those people gone for serious minor trials, and some of them are still in serious cases with the government. Do you think they are actually doing their best to fight corruption? And do you think uh, most of these officials that have committed crime against the government, especially for corruption, having access to bond? Don't you think it should be a must that they go and face, whatever time is supposed to be there after that time? Or
Well,
even though the laws actually say much about that, but I just wanted to know your own view.
I would say it's a matter of the laws that we have on the book and how they are being implemented. You see, many laws will be conflicting with one another, or sometimes to police these laws can be a little difficult. Mr. John Brown is the Minister of Finance. He steals money. He's known to be. You can be a witness to me to the fact that, let's look at Nathaniel McGill. Let's look at the elephant, Bill Sherway. These are people who did things, even though because of Liberia, we consider them as big guts, and they did things. We know that they were stealing money. They were using every way to deprive the government of the money, which made the government was not developing anything. But they were the one making the decision. The U.S. government, the U.S. Treasury that is outside of our country, look at these guys and bind them for stealing money and for their behavior, their reckless spending of money. Okay, but these guys, the government did not take any action. Okay, they say, oh, the U.S. government is not part of Liberia, but we can understand that the U.S. government they contribute a lot to our development. If I'm giving money to your house every day, then I see your children there suffering. Your wife comes and complains, you are not eating this, they are not eating this, and all these things. What do? I tell you, okay, but I'm not going to give money now, because even though I cannot take money to give directly to the children, all I do is to withhold my money. So these guys were suspended or they were stopped from this and that. What did the government do? Government did nothing. They say government because the U.S. government presented them the facts and they saw it, but they said it's not sufficient to prosecute these people. And what did they do? Our vulnerable population, our electorates, they went to work and voted these people to go into the House and become legislators, where they will be, where these guys are going to be protected, from being accused. Because the man would tell you can't stop him from going to the House because he did not do it while he was in the House. That's not a corrupt practice. So we do not have our laws really to the point that we can stop these people from going to the thing. Anybody can steal money and go to bribe the electorates at the time of election. We have had this tendency, oh, we are suffering in Liberia, to the point that even people who are working, we keep crying that they are suffering. Okay, people who are not working, they're doing business, they will tell you they are suffering. Where in this world that people don't suffer? Even we here in the United States, the government sometimes provide enabling situations for people to make money. You have jobs and all of these things. But then at this time, nobody is getting money. You allow these people to be voted to go to the House of Representatives. When they go to the legislature, there are certain immunities that cannot make you run after them. So you see, now we can blame the executive. If John Brown was involved in corruption at the port, then you take him from there, you make him at the Ministry of Finance or take him to another ministry, then we can say that government is having a blind eye on it. But while we are at the same time blaming the executive, we also have to look at at the electorates, the common people out there who sometimes say the government is insensitive to the plight of the downtrodden people. Who put them down there? They want to remain down there. This is what is happening. Many people want to remain down there because they will go to work. Here is these days, people going to election. At the time of election, somebody tells you, oh, William McGill is living right here with us. He has not done anything for us. Then somebody comes into Kakata and bring 10 bags of rice and give it to people. That person goes and convinces everybody. He doesn't know the character of that person. Just because the person brought money, he remembers that that person should be the one to become that representative. And William McGill, who has the heart to help his community, but he did not have the means. But if you give him a chance, he will do better. But then they will tell you, oh, there's something to say the devil that we have is better than the angel that we've not seen, you know. So when these things are happening, we keep looking at it in many ways. You know, the devil that we have not seen, I mean, the angel we've not seen, we can continue to be with this devil, with this angel. So this is what is happening. William McGill, Sam Abu comes from here today. He wants to run on the Oro constituency number 10. I mean, constituency number 10, where I come from in Monserrado County. Somebody will tell me, oh, what has he done for us? What has he done? What has he done? You know, and these kind of questions that are being asked by the electorates, these questions are robbing Liberia of people who really have that country at heart. People who have the country at heart, who have developmental moves, who are able to make things move forward. There are many of them. We just say that, oh, Liberia doesn't have people. No, not everybody is corrupt in Liberia. Not everybody wants to go to the government just because they want to fill their pocket. We have people there who want to make sure they go in government to make sure they push the government forward. But these people are being robbed of the opportunity to serve their country, you know. And similarly, when it comes to the executive, our friends are the ones that are appointed. People who do not know because they've not heard your name before, knowing very well you are a Liberian, you bring your credentials. Oh, other people brought credentials, we appointed them and they didn't perform. But it has to be like a football team or a basketball team. Keep changing people until you can have the best. You know, we need to have the best in Liberia. So corruption is something, it goes in so many ways. But we who do the voting, we have to respect ourselves. We have to start thinking of a new way to select who we want to work for us in the government. You know, there's no need. You have a government, some representative is selected or elected, that he comes out and there's nothing he does. It's just to be insulting whole day, assaulting people, making invectives on the president, invectives on everybody in the government. And it cannot be like that.
Yeah.
You know. So I just think corruption is something is very difficult, but most of the time, because of our community, we always think it starts from the top. No, it starts from the lower ground. If we start looking at things, having patriotic things, civic education to our people, you know, that we vote better people in, you know. But there are many ways. Soon somebody comes in, oh, what has he done for us? Oh, this man was to this place, he did not do this. This lady has the one, this lady has 5 boyfriends. This person has this. Situations make people do certain things. And they just look at it and clear people and nothing comes out of it. This is a serious situation.
And again, we as Liberians, especially most of these electors want more during the time of election because of the kind of mindset, and they don't care about if we put you there, what you would do. They care about what can we get from you right now. If we get uh, this amount or whatever from you, we'll put you there. Because the mindset of most of the electors is when these people gets there, they don't have nothing else to offer them until the time of election. Unless other countries that, people want to see exactly, what you're able to do for them. It's not what you've done, but what you're able to do. In as much as
Yes.
maybe if you have some opportunities and able to give back to your community while you're not there. And again, I feels like there's more needs to be done in terms of civic education, educating the people on what they need to know about government, local government, because more times we as Liberians that vote these people into these public offices, we feels like for the lawmakers, they need to come back and build the rules. They need to come back and build our hand pumps. We now understand that they have three cardinal responsibilities to making sure that these things we think they're supposed to come back and do, they can do that through argument. They can do that, through debate. They can present bills. So they're there to represent us. They're there to advocate for us. Those are things that I think the Ministry of Education also is needed to making sure that. I remember back somewhere around 2008 2010 we had civics as a subject in school, but later on maybe they were trying to modernize the school system, so they took that part of and they just do everything history. So civic education too is seriously important. And I think again, Mr. Abu, like every Liberian coming on to say they want to work in government and gets appointed, approved by the Senate or whatever, they should be able to do it diligently and as a patriotic citizen. You know, love for country is important. You can't say you love Liberia, you come in and you only want something for yourself gain. If everybody want better thing now, but at least understand that you're in a public space, all eyes will be on you, and you need to understand that these positions are area you just come in to serve, and you should serve diligently. Public position shouldn't just be about the money, because I feel like if you want to work in government, you shouldn't expect that much. But again, it's always on the contrary. We feels like you know politics and political positions are the only way we gain, internet. Someone would say internal worth, man. Yeah, we just get rich from there. Go steal and go sit down somewhere and enjoy the money.
Yeah, but many things do happen also. They, as I talk about unconscious bias in the past, there will be many things that people do. They will think it is right that they are doing it, but it's really not right when they decide to do it. So if we decide to be looking at many things that happen every time, let's imagine there'll be some people who come out all the time and tell us about uh, let's say, for example, within the government, there may be some things. Let's say, in the case of one of the appointees, how to call him? Okay, he was suspended. The Bureau of State Enterprises. If I tell you all my life in Monrovia, I really did not know what that agency is really about doing. I thought it was just an agency that they just put people to fill up. But the last person that the President Barker appointed, he came out with some stringent laws. And once you come in, you look at what the law say you should do. As you begin to do it, people start to hate you. People start to find a way to get you out of the system because you are making them not to get what they want to do. Let's say, for example, there was something I heard that Mr. Massaquoi, Arthur Massaquoi, the former head of the Bureau of State Enterprises. I mean, there are many enterprises that some bring in money and others don't bring in money, but all of them are further supported by the taxpayers' money. So why do we have members of the board members paid monthly? They are not working. We have the administration, the executives of the ministry or that agency working, but the board members, they are not working. Why can they only be paying them maybe quarterly, But so he implemented that. He registered that with the president, and the president accepted it. When the president accepted it, all the people who were board members, they started conniving with the heads of the agencies so that they could have the man removed, even though he had some financial malpractices and inappropriations. But there were few things that he put forward. And I know whether we bring a new person in, those things will remain on the books. It has always been on the book. Board members have been paid. Board members have been paid. So when we become board members are normally maybe they are not technocrats. Many of them are just friends of the executive. So they are appointed to these boards so that they can have something to eat. They are not really in government. But then, are these boards very active? Many of them, no, because the managing director or the director general is the one that makes all of the decisions in moving the system forward, in moving that agency forward. You see, so we look at it, yes, he may have been involved in financial improprieties, and that was investigated or is being investigated by the LACC. Who knows? But my inside information I got is that many of the people or his floodgate came from a particular thing that board members must not be paid, and that was holding on many people. So even now, whether the report is ready, the president is not going to look at a report because it will make sure it will not reach to the president. Okay? So we have to make sure William McGill lives in Montserrat County almost all his life. Or why are we looking at people living from one county to go to another county, and the people in that county, just because when he's ready to move there, he goes to the schools, he goes to the farms, he gives money to people, and the next time they will look at their own son, that county will look at their own son, his father, his mother, everybody from that place. They will never vote for him, or they will never encourage him to even run, and they will start talking. I remember when Edwin Snow was going to Bowman County, when he started spending the money, he was already a sitting legislator in Montserrat County. When he started spending the money, I could hear some residents and citizens of Bowman County openly coming on social media saying that what Edwin Snow has done for them, none of their children have ever done for them. So why is the reason why they cannot vote for Edwin Snow? They had to vote for Edwin Snow and put their own children out of the legislature. Edwin Snow goes there to represent Bowman County when his relationship with Bowman County may not be 100%, But they say, the other people did not make a palm farm. They did not help the school. They did not do this. But these are things that people should look at. This is where corruption breeds from. They will have a lot of things for people to be corrupt about. But I just think, let's leave that corruption. We cannot change the system from outside. Sometimes even when we go inside, sometimes you see that one person may not be able to change the system.
Yeah, sometimes the manipulation can even work on you because
it happens.
Anything get changed, how you login here, or you want changing now. Politics play to
even people who live from the United States, many of them we have some good minds because we sit down here in our basements, in our different places. Every Liberian organization, every Liberian function you go to in this place, you see people sitting in groups and nothing they are discussing but the government in Liberia, how this is happening in Liberia. We are well informed in this place, and everything. You go to wakekeeping, you go to funeral, the reapers, you go to Black Day party, this and that, we go in the park. Every time we meet together, it's nothing we discuss but just about Liberia. But we are happy that the social media comes, and sometimes we just see it live and we all sit and analyze it. We go out ready to help the country, but somebody will say, sometimes some things we do here, we do not that we make a lot of money here. It is just the policies that we have here that give us an upper hand. And some of the policies can work there. But as soon as you reach there, you are alone appointed among maybe if the agency got one head and 3 deputies, you are one of the deputies. You may not be able to change anything because all of them will say that your new idea you bring in cannot work here, and therefore you end up being in the river and start swimming within the same way, So this corruption happens. So we have seen people who have left from here and also gone on that place and got caught in the corruption well. So it makes it kind of difficult for people to really understand, for people to change it. And sometimes we say the fish gets rotting from the head. You know, the lineages that we have. By the time the president comes tonight and sacks somebody because of their alignment with corruption groups and other things, that sometimes you see the president's very good friend from childhood friend will be the next one the next day at the president's office and lie down flat on the ground to beg the president that my son and this and that, you know. But the fish gets rotten from the head. And I believe President Barker is willing to do some of these things. I think as we hear, you know, most of the time, just as we saw the few days when he was leaving, certain actions were taken. So every time, like people must know that every time when the president is traveling, just make sure some heads will roll. Some people will be leaving their jobs. Every time he travels, some big things are happening.
Yeah.
So I still believe that corruption can continue to be in Liberia at all times. You know, all we have to do is to minimize it, and we have the executive branch making sure that they remain on their toes. When you are caught in the web, you should definitely be penalized for it. If you don't have, we cannot say that you will never work in government, but there should be laws to also say those things.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Abu. Let's talk about the president visit to the U.S. for the United Nations General Assembly. That's the 80th United Nations General Assembly. I don't know, but I think Mr. Abu slipped off. We hoping he join us back. So let's just talk about this. The president will be in New York for the UNGA ONGA. So we heard that from the CDC government, the United Nations General Assembly in New York, while there he's expected to address world leaders on key global issues such as peace and security, climate change, sustainable development, and international cooperation. So let me just come on better. Um, Sustainable development, international cooperation. In addition to his ONGA engagements, the president will also host the first Liberia National Diaspora Conference in Washington, D.C., uh, aimed at strengthening ties with Liberians abroad, encouraging investment, and mobilizing support for national development. A high-level delegation is accompanying the president, including senior ministers and agency heads who will take part in the climate talks. Education, let me get Mr. Abu back. Education, um, education, including the president, senior ministers who will take part in climate talks, education, health, and other specialized sessions. So, the president is there in the U.S. currently. He will be attending the 80th United Nations General Assembly in New York. He's also poised to host the next, let's say, the first ever diaspora conference in Washington, D.C., making sure that, all the Liberian people that are in America, wherever they want to conference to go for that conference, they can come back and invest in the country. Government can do everything. So, but Mr. Abu, what do you think about the president visit to the U.S. for this national, for this conference? Not mainly the diaspora conference, but the United Nations General Assembly.
Well, the first thing is we are looking at the president coming to, let's say, cement that Liberia getting a seat on a permanent, non-permanent seat. which Liberia has already won, and they will be beginning it, and therefore the president needs to be there and maybe know the ramifications, and later maybe appoint somebody to work on that committee. And a lot of people have been working on that committee. Another thing is that his visit to the United Nations, maybe a follow-up on several things that the government be working on. He has already arrived in the United States, and after some time resting today and later today or tomorrow, we'll keep bringing you the information, and the Executive Mansion will also bring you the information on a daily basis. We have the various ministers that came along with the president. They will start working on some committees that are working, because the General Assembly itself is just making reports. So there are many agencies that we have to be working, UNDP, UNDP, and all of them based on the sector that a minister works. Those on education, we start talking about it, and those on it. But the president's speech may come out. We expect him to be very frank in bringing out things. Corruption. Liberia is moving forward. We are moving. There will be really many African countries will be addressing this idea of moving from aid to trade. To see what we can do best to help how the United States can help to trade with African countries. I'm just afraid that sometimes, it becomes a big thing between America and other countries that are members of the United Nations. We say, let's say, for example, I heard recently, I think they say there's a new mineral that they have just discovered in Liberia, and that's a very, very sensitive mineral. We have to make the announcement to the United Nations, and we see many countries will start coming in to come into it. Well, we don't know what will be the commercial value of whatever mineral that they have just discovered in Liberia, and they will need to start talking about it. But the president will also use that opportunity to strengthen diplomatic ties with some other countries that have not been very close to Liberia. And he has a very good cabinet. The cabinet members are working, and they will make sure they will do a lot of things talking in New York, because that is where the United Nations seat is. In addition to that, the president will also be meeting with several organizations, will be meeting with several businesses, as a way to showcase Liberia, tell them Liberia is not the Liberia you knew yesterday. And really, sometimes some presidents are coming there to come and look at this Joseph Newman Barker, that the main bad man, they call President Trump, look at him and say, oh, you speak good English. So many people will be coming to see this old man. When all our young people came, nobody praised that. At least we got this old man came, and like they say, he speaks good English, which is very important. That many countries want to come and see this old man. We'll have our ears open to listen to that speech. Normally, the speech is tailored to be very short, and they only give you a short time to give that speech. A lot of those who are doing the speech writing will have to do a lot of editing. The final one may not be done until maybe 1 or 2 days, or even 1 day to the thing before the final one will be done, because they will keep editing based on activities that will be going on, And then later on this month, he has come for a very long time. He will also, that we cannot hide it, he will also do his medicals, He will also do his medicals before going. But that meeting, the diaspora meeting, I anticipate we have been registering online. There are some people who will be in person, and other people will be watching or participating online. Normally, most Liberian, these meetings, sometimes they really yield nothing much. Hoping that this one may yield, especially when they've already appointed somebody to the embassy in Washington, D.C., responsible for, I think he's a minister counselor for political affairs, political and diaspora affairs. I don't know what his mandate is. I don't know, but in his job, I would really suggest, sometimes you have to start something about, let's say, people go to Liberia with credentials and other things. So we need something like a database of Liberians in the diaspora, especially those who have the postgraduate and terminal degrees, who are willing or who are in areas of business and what they want to do. I think that office should be it must be very transformative, working along to make sure which Liberians are here that are ready to go back home. I will look up to him or her to really make sure that they have series of meetings, maybe from one state to another state, to be able to identify Liberians who want to go back home and talk. And I hope the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the various ministries will listen to him or listen to his recommendations to see what they can do. But this particular diasporal meeting is the first one. And up to now, I really do not know what the time of reference is. When I say I do not know, it doesn't mean that I don't know. I may not know what they're going to discuss, but it's just the same old discussion that we've always had. We've always had these kind of discussions, and in the end, nothing is done. We had discussions in Monrovia. A diaspora office was open in Monrovia at the executive mansion. And up to today, we don't really know what that office is doing. Every time a new president comes, they try to identify themselves. They sit down there, they take pay, where their connection to organizations in America sometimes is very weak. We have very big organizations here in America based on the communities. And in recent times, we are really having a lot of organizations. We have the University of Liberia Alumni Association in the United States, Cotton Town, the various universities have the alumni associations here. The various high schools have the alumni associations here. The various counties have the organizations here, and even communities. What we believe in Liberia is, instead of being in one organization and making a very quality one, we try to be in several organizations. And sometimes some of these organizations cannot just be about when something happened to you, the whole group come and contribute. It's not all about it. Our contributions should be moving towards Monrovia, because if you say you have Grand Cess Association in Americas, we want to look in Grand Cess to see what this group is doing there. If we say the Bombay Association in Americas, we want to see what they are doing. And it must only be about going there to build a school, going there to build water wells. You should be able to start finding, sometimes some people can volunteer from here to go back home to say, well, I'm on vacation for 1 month, I will teach in the school for the 1 month, and all of these things. The University of Liberia is struggling. They need money. They need special things. The last time the University of Liberia, the bathrooms, when the current president took over, they did an assessment of the bathrooms and other things. I still believe that many of us here had similar problem, that there were no good bathrooms on the university campus. We come out of the university, we have an opportunity to come to the diaspora, and we do not even think about it. When you are here, every bathroom you go to our university campuses, the high school campuses, the bathrooms are up to date. I was just thinking, the university, why can't you maybe decide to outsource? Give a contract out to a group that will take care of the bathrooms. They bring in trash cans so that people don't be throwing the trash, the papers all over the campus. You bring this group to take over the campus. At least we are happy that the university has a specific place, a campus we have the main campus in Monrovia and the Fended campus. So it could be given out as a contract. You cannot, because we are poor, so we need to use poor bathrooms. We need to have these. We know the sewage system is bad. Notwithstanding, if you have a contractor there, they'll be able to do a lot of things, But we still want to call on the diaspora organizations to make sure that their presence is felt over there. I'm a member of the alumni of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, AJA. Every time we have our convention, we are talking about what can we do to help journalists in Liberia. We have had an opportunity 3 or 4 times to take 40, 50 laptops to give it to journalists and media institutions to see how it can enhance their work. You know, we've gone there, we've had workshops with them, and we even have, I think, few students who are on scholarship in the mass communication department at the University of Liberia. We are looking forward to seeing how we can extend it to other mass communication departments in other universities. You know, all these things will happen. So Liberian organizations that are in the United States, we still believe that you can do better. People look up to you for guidance. People look up to you for many things that you can do. We know you can't take care of your people in Monrovia if you can't take care of yourself here. But the few money that we use to spread around, why can't we help our brothers back home? You know, I still think that there is a need for us to keep helping our people back home, you know. So we can't sit here and always be saying, oh, we are very poor. There's nothing. The people in Liberia are not serious. And this, yes, we understand they may not be serious based on how they carry on their election. When elections are coming, sometimes we don't have to wait for political parties to be the one to do civic education. We can go to do civic education, not the political parties. Because when the political parties are doing their civic education, they are doing it to suit their way, to suit the way they want people to move with the election, to put it in their favor. But we should have independent groups that really want to put people we want them to vote for people who really want to help Liberia.
Okay, thank you so much for your splendid view and opinion on that. So quickly before we talk a little bit about, because next we will focus on this Millennium Compact, project. But before we talk a little bit on that and try to close up for the program, like you said, Liberia have a few new minerals, and that is the uranium, the lithium, the cobalt, the magnesium, and the nedium. Following a 50-year survey, so we discover let's say 4 to 5 different minerals in the country, and I think it's significant for our mining sector. All of these minerals are essential for other things that they can be used to manufacture or process. So again, we have a whole long report on the Millennium Challenge Corporation, the MCC, which is spearheaded by the United States. What do you make of this report? If you follow the report, the release, and Liberia is ranked number 47 of the 87 countries that are candidate, to bid for the Millennium Compact Corporation.
What will happen in the first place is evaluating what Liberia did during the first time that it won the thing, which was from 2016 to 2021. What did they do with the money? I think the amount should have been about 238 million, which was the Liberian compact. Okay, this 238 million, the government of Liberia decided to really concentrate on the energy sector, So what they did, the findings that came out actually is how well Liberia used the first amount of money and how did they use it to enhance the capacity of our people and to use it for development of the country. It's based on that Liberia was selected again. And Liberia had remained, on that same trajectory. Let's say, for example, what it did was the power plant rehabilitation and the electricity access. We cannot say that it did not happen. It has happened in Liberia. You and myself can know that there have been a series of customer connections which was really going over the point. When it comes, everybody is having meter now. Some people have personal meters, they have general meters, and all of these are happening. The Mount Coffee hydro plant, which was donor funded, distributed among the projects, were all completed. The plant suitability and jeopardized by inadequate funding for operations and maintenance, And then they came to the area of management. I'm looking at the assessment of how the first one was used. which was which was another organization that came to check on it. They said, despite the challenge in management services contract, they said, despite the challenges, the management services contract, which the firm hired to support the utility, increased connections, reduced outages, and improved management practices. So that I can see. I visited Monrovia. I found out that we got more electricity. The electricity is expanding in Monrovia from the Mount Coffee power plant. We noticed that we have more people who have been connected to electricity if you go to Pinsville, and especially when this new government came and appointed a new group to take over LEC. You have seen that since they took over, more people are getting electricity, and electricity has remained constant to the point that I went in Monrovia, I noticed that there were other places that as soon as sometimes many places have been constant with electricity, that if your electricity coming from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., you are always sure the electricity comes at that time. It was only a few times that you have outages. So they say power theft remains high and threatens sustainability. Power theft, after they appointed Mary Bro and her group, power theft, they became the thing. And then the utility requires investment in meters and a low voltage network to meet customer demand. So this is what has happened. High voltage, that 220 there, it spoiled a lot of people's equipment, or appliances. You come to it, but the power theft is reducing it's reducing. It's difficult to really stop it, but until we have meters that are being controlled from the central. But currently, the old-fashioned meters that we're using, where you put your money in when the power finish, that is going well. Then the energy sector regulation. I think we are aware of the forming of the Liberian Electricity Regulatory Commission, which has developed a regulatory framework for electricity generation, transmission, and distribution and sales. This is going on presently. I did talk to the chair of the Electricity Regulatory Commission, and what he told me, I went to Liberia, I did see it. LEC is taking care of certain counties. LEC is now in competition with other groups. But what my problem remains is that the poles that were planted before, the high tension wires that were planted before by LEC in the past in the different counties, if somebody else comes, let's say, for example, the Jungle Energy that's supposed to be supplying Nima County and Bone County, those two counties, the high tension wire, if he gets on it, he needs to be paying a little money to LEC. But then LEC is supposed to be passing this money over to government, because it's the government that enhanced LEC to build those light poles and the high tension wire. They have another group that expressed interest. I think they are already providing electricity in Greenville, River G, and other places, and Maryland. So electricity is coming, small, places. So the regulatory has been able to work and do a lot of things. So the regulator approved a tariff. So this time, it is not the LEC that will tell you we're charging $4 per meter watts. It is the electricity regulatory that tells you how much you charge per megawatts. So anything happens, sometimes we'll say, oh, it's LEC. No, there is a regulatory. They are the one, according to this document, that they said that the tariffs that is too low to cover the cost. So the private operators are unlicensed, and its independence is threatened without adequate income. So because the different electricity groups said that the tariff they were charging was too low, but that's the regular thing of the Liberian people. They will tell you that this is low and we can't afford it, but they want electricity, but then they say they can't afford it. So the regulatory decided to increase it, and they agreed, all of them. So the evaluation remains that all of the things that were planned were implemented. Which contributed to the improvement in electrical regulations, policy formulation, and monitoring. Even though it affected electricity generation, transmission, distribution, and things, they still say that they need to be aided in the sustainability of Liberia Electricity Corporation as a utility. So we are still going to be looking at LEC. So the new money that we are fighting for, Liberia is going to get it because all of these remain constant. This government has not changed anything. They are moving towards the thing. Electricity is gradually moving on. And electricity is part of wealth. So as long as we are having electricity in Liberia, you'll see more companies coming to operate because it is so difficult to run some companies without a public electricity. To produce your own electricity is very difficult. Solar system is coming in. We have several groups that are coming in. So I think the millennium thing is going to be a plus for the Liberian government, and getting it is going to be very heavy, and Liberians are going now, maybe they will start looking at different angles, maybe road development and other things. But for that first one, the evaluation was very clear that Liberia did very well, and looking forward to a better one that is coming.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Abu. Let's just get a final round so we can
just before we go, I want to listen to Councillor Gonglo.
Okay, let me
we can talk about other people and leave our people.
Let me play Councillor Gonglo. The man talking about the journalist.
Yeah, mercenary journalism.
Yeah, let me play that.
Today I did a post on mercenary journalism. I'm sure many of you Liberians in and out of Liberia post. Today I did a post on mercenary journalism. I'm sure many of you Liberians in and out of Liberia have read my post. If there's any lawyer in Liberia who should speak for and against journalists, it should be me. Why I say so? I have the credibility to do so. I have been a defender of the press and the actors in the press, journalists, from the 1990s up to now. One of the reasons I went to jail in 2002 was my effort in releasing journalists from jail all of the time and speaking for them whenever they were in trouble. Getting them out of police cell, going to the magistrate courts, everywhere. I even drafted the law that is called the Kamara law today. But we fought for press freedom so that the press can be used to inform, educate, and entertain the Liberian people and residents here. Sadly, today, some journalists have decided to use the profession for money making. Money making is not bad, but when you make money to undermine the development of Liberia, that is bad. Journalists that take money from government officials to kill bad stories about them. Journalists that take money from business people, bad business people, to kill stories about them. Journalists that take money to write bad stories about good people in society are the journalists that are called mercenary journalists. We don't need them. I'm prepared to keep fighting for journalists. I still do that today. But I really, really, really don't like mercenary journalists. They are a disservice to the profession. So today I ask all Liberians in and out of government to join me to denounce mercenary journalism. It is bad. It's not good for our country. We didn't fight for press freedom, for people to use the press as a money-making thing against public interest, against the interests of our society. Thank you very much for listening to me.
You listened to him, Mr.
I did listen to him. We want to say thank you to Councillor Tiawon Gonglo. Those are some of the people who somebody will say, oh, he's poor, he cannot beat government and this and that, But he has everything he said there is a truth. That he was the one who drafted the Kamara thing. He fought against the decree 88A. You guys were not born when we had that decree 88A that put a lot of people in jail. Not only journalists, but anybody who say something, you got to prove it, and he fought against it until they brought it down. So with this, it's protecting the journalists. But I still believe that the Press Union of Liberia, if they are already organized, because I know they will always have a fight, if they are already organized, they need to have their own workshops, because journalism itself is a profession. Media housing is another form of entity where everybody can own a radio station, anybody can own this and have people who come in. Then the social media has come in. Liberia needs to start looking at what goes in the social media. We don't have to stop it. They have a cyber bullying, they have a cyber law. Those things should be able to come. I think if you go to Ghana, you go to Sierra Leone, some countries around us, they have already developed laws that protect people on this on the social media, and those things need to come, because sometimes the lack of education. There is something that is coming out in management that we call unconscious biasness. And this unconscious biasness is also coming in the journalism area, and the unconscious biasness sometimes is just an implicit bias which affects the journalist by influencing your newsroom decision, sometimes even what you put in a story. Those who are editors that play the news, certain stories you see, you want to make this headline. What is influencing you making that story headline? These are all unconscious biases that you do, because you would think that it is the right thing you are doing, but you are really doing the wrong thing. If you are being biased, and they say what it does sometimes, it helps you to evade the public trust. Why journalists are trained to be objective, the ingrained personal and social prejudice can affect their choice of sources, story framing, and also language. Because sometimes the way you set your headlines, what's your interest? This is the same story I wrote it last time, and we had 10,000 viewers. So you're going to write it that same way so that you can get 10,000 viewers, then you become popular about it. So sometimes the selection and the framing, sometimes you got something you call the negative bias. We need a press union, the Association of Liberian Journalists, the journalists. No, you don't think that we at the top, we know everything. We have our own biases. There are some people, certain stories you have, whether it is in their area or not, of professionalism, you think that when they talk about it, so they are talking the right thing. So you always take them as a better source. But some of them, they are not the sources for that. They are really not the one that make good decision, So sometimes you say we have something like diversity. There are some stories, you in the newsroom, sometimes stories that have certain stories, you say, oh, I can only assign this story to females. I can assign this story to this. You look at a female reporter, you say you can assign it to the football field, or you can assign it to sport, because you think that women cannot report sport adequately. That is already being a bias in you. You are already being biased against the women. Certain stories, oh, the last time you went to this story, you didn't do well. No, the situations are not the same. Don't be biased in the way you assign your reporters. Do not be biased in the way you do a lot of things. We also need to understand that bias reporting is wrong. And this is what Councillor Gonglo is talking about, especially the attitude of cash for content. Cash for content politics. Some officials of government, they really want to lie on their friends. They use journalists. You carry.
They believe that the only people the public can listen to and believe every information.
Yes, they manipulate journalists, and this undermines the credibility of the press. If the press union is willing, or all of us, some of us can talk about, we can come and give a lecture on unconscious bias in journalism. Let's look at it from that point, because the first thing is trying to know yourself.
Yeah.
You know yourself. How can we stop this? How can we stop it? Many ways we can do to stop it. Because sometimes when you're talking about underserved communities, you want to take a picture from West Point, because you have always had the picture that West Point is where the poor people live. you know, or you're going to this place. Those are the pictures that you portray. They are not really the pictures, but you also can remember that even Mamba Point, they got on this on deserved people there. But just because when you show Mamba Point, they will say that you lie. So you are biased in doing all those things. So there are many ways you can do. We can combat it. We need to do self-awareness. You know, in the newsroom, you can start acknowledging that everyone is very unconsciously biased. We're unconsciously biased about the things we do, and we need that awareness. Do not think that because you are the one that is doing it, so you are not biased. No, you can be the editor and very biased in the way you assign the reporters, in the language that you want them to use in reporting the case, and you have to also involve diversity. Diversity is not only bringing in terms of tribal group, in terms of race. Diversity also has to deal with gender. Diversity has to deal with population. Don't think because Mr. McGill is just 21, 22 years old, you cannot send him to go interview the speaker. When the speaker is having press conference, they think that only the old guys can go there. No, that is being biased also. You know, the old guys may go, they already think they have established friendship, and some of them go there for the cattle that drop behind it, you know. So you don't have to be biased in that way. Diversity in the newsroom is very important. Investing in anti-bias training. You have to emphasize on process and the feedback, because sometimes you have to do a thorough research on some of the things. But I think I'm mistaken, I call him president, but he has never been, you know. What Councillor Gonglo is saying is that journalists must be very careful. He calls them mercenary journalists because in the actual context, mercenaries are people who are paid to damage other things, you know, to damage people or to damage a community. So Councillor Gonglo, thank you so much for bringing that to the attention. And I think you have to maybe offer to have a training with the Press Union of Liberia, with the journalists. Sometimes not all training must go through the Press Union of Liberia. You can call a set of journalists and just have them listen to you. You talk about bias, because if we say we're bringing the big group together, you're never going to have the whole group. You can do it little by little. You know, and sometimes you can decide to take one newsroom. You just talk to that newsroom about unconscious biasness. It happens even in our workplaces here. Sometimes those who work in group homes, they only look at people. They have a different way to deal with a white woman than the way they deal with a black woman. All of them late night, that same group home, they pay the same amount of money for them, but you have a different way you treat them. Let the other one be lying down there. Let this one, you know. So we have to fight against our own unconscious biases by trying to create some awareness within ourselves, not to feel that we are not biased. All of us are biased some way. So we want to say thank you to Councillor Gonglo for bringing that to our attention, and we'll continue to work. And we'll ask you also for your intervention. Help us. But unconscious biasness in the journalism, in the media, is something that we need to start looking at as a subject for our journalists. At a particular subject, let's look at it for our journalists. Because sometimes the representation and the source also can be biased. Some of you, when you want to do research, sometimes you only go to Google. Google is not the only engine for that. They have other sources that you can go to. You know, we have other sources that we have to go to. So if you think that because you're a journalist, you know everything, no, you really may know some things, but there are many things that you do not know as a journalist, you know. Let's say sometimes they say lack of diversity among journalists can lead to blind spots. You know, certain things you overlook. They are good, but you don't look there, causing marginalized communities to be underrepresented or misrepresented in news coverage. In some cases, it leads to harmful assumptions and minimizes contributions from groups like women and ethnic minorities. So we go People are calling protests in Monrovia. They feel that the highest group of protesters must come from New Kutan. The highest group of protesters must come from West Point. The highest group of protesters. No, it is not only the people of West Point and New Kutan who are dissatisfied. Why can't you mobilize people in Safe Town? Why can't you mobilize people in Bangor Town? You know, mobilize people in Painesville. Or you think when you bring people from West Point, they are the only ones that are being affected? No, you have to consider that has been biased. You just look at the people and you just condemn them. And also we know that our pressure to get a profit, to get more profit, can lead to outage of journalism, which concerns the audience, emotions, and cater to existing political divides. You know, when the government does anything today, whether it is good or not, this is a unity party government. When you do anything, the first thing you're doing, you don't want to go to the common person to give you their view. You think that you must go to the head of CTC, which is the major political opponent, or you must go to the head of another group. Yes, their views are important, but the views of those common people down there is also important. Try to go to them, you know, because the way you create your choices or you create your sources, you know, because you think that it is only when CDC condemns the Unity Party action that what makes the thing bad. No, every action of the government is not a unit. It's not only benefiting Unity Party people, or it's not only going against Unity Party, going against CDC people. Let's have people, but in a balanced way, that they talk about these issues. You as journalists, you know. It also goes with something we call the bandwagon effect, you know, where we cover the stories because other outlets are also covering that same story. No. If there is no newsworthiness or factual accuracy about what they're doing, you don't just run there. What would be the need if a taxi is running from Monrovia, comes around City Hall, it catches fire? Then you see every journalist, whether he's based in New Kutan, based in Painesville, they all run there with their cameras. They come and show that. What's the significance of it? Car never burned before? So you are just a bandwagon that because you just get up, no news there, you just get up and go there because others are there. You know? And like this, you are misusing the resources of your institution because you are going to ask for data, you are going to ask for transportation to go to a site where a car is burning, that you already have 3-4 journalists there. You just forget, you just follow them, you know. You know, and this is another thing. We know that news people love negative news. The community wants to listen to negative news. When it is good news, they don't want to listen to it. The news must be negative. So we are only interested in covering things like violence, in covering conflict over political developments. And sometimes when we do all of these things, let's not make our listeners and our readers to bring only scary stories into the thing. Let's also look at positive things, you know. Because this is how unconscious bias can exist, you know. So, based on what Councillor Gonglo has said, I think mercenary journalism, he's not quite lying. We may ask him, but he has been studying us. He has been helping us. Whatever he said were facts. He has released several journalists from going to jail. Many have gone to jail. Even some of our people who are working in high places in government today, many of them were sent to Belayala before, were sent to Post-Tocket. And Councillor Gonglo and his team were on their toes marching to make sure that people get free. We are not saying that we should use this as a means to pay him for what he did. But he has to keep talking. We improve day by day. Let's improve day by day. Sometimes, if the government has done anything good, please, we have to look at it. To create something we have to do, you have to seek diverse perspectives. That is, you go to the rich people, you ask them. You go to the politicians, they ask them. Sometimes we expect some of the answers to be the same. No matter what good the Unity Party would do, you go to CDC. CDC must not be the only one that you think will be the one to give their perspective on it. Go to Mayasa in the market. Go to Mr. John P. Doe, who is fishing way down there, and give his view on it. And because of the way the journalists behave, sometimes some people tell you, I don't have a comment. So it will go all these places. Sometimes we know some of the news stories you brought are also AI stories. Like yesterday, I heard someone was telling me there used to be a news reporter, or was he a news reporter? He worked for KSFM. They used to call him Tom Gogra. Tom Gogra came from the United States. He was an older man, but what he did was he took advantage of the situation when NPRAG was not well represented, or nobody was paying attention to NPRAG. But he needed to justify why he must be part of it. He goes to work. He knows that in Liberia, most of the journalists, or during the time of the war, people were not doing research. He will go to war and look at the name of three former presidents of England. Prime ministers of England, and just put their name and build a story from there. And say, Lord Carrington from the British, this and that, has commended President Taylor. They start doing it. But those things did not really exist, because those people are not going to hear it to be able to make the correction of it. But then they will say, NPRAG is already recognized by the British government, is recognized by this group, which was not the fact. So we must get away from the AI stories. If we can just prioritize fairness and objectivity, which Councillor Gonglo is talking about. Because some media professionals will argue that striving for an impossible objectivity can lead to false balance. No. The false balance, who makes it a false balance? It is you. Okay? And they say, in this case, they become unequal, or factually inaccurate arguments are given equal weight. But the best thing to do is to acknowledge ourselves that sometimes we are biased, and we are prioritizing, we try to prioritize fairness, and this can be more realistic and effective. It can be a more realistic and effective standard for journalists. Unconscious biasness. This happens even in the workplaces, everywhere. But we are today concerned about the one that happens among the journalists, William, you are there still? Well, I lost contact of William, and we have been talking about this unconscious bias in promoting or trying to give a heavy weight to mercenary journalism, as stated by Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, former presidential candidate in Liberia. And this will continue, and sometimes we try to stigmatize people in unconscious biasness. We stigmatize people by just labeling them. During the COVID-19 pandemic, for example, some media outlets use terms like the Wuhan virus, which led to the stigmatization of people who are of Asian descent, because some people say the China virus. So everybody thought if anybody who was a Chinese they were the people who brought the virus, and sometimes you don't have to do that, We most of the time reinforce, in the language we use, we reinforce stereotypes. Our choice of words, our imagery can reinforce stereotypes. Sometimes, what we do most of the time as journalists, we are using passive voices to describe police aggression, while we use active voices for protesters of violence, or using photos of Black protesters to depict riots, while using white protesters for peaceful scenes. These are all the ways that we are biased, you know. Anything that has to do with police brutality, we carry it way up. Sometimes you even look at it, there was no brutality, you know. Maybe it was just something like excessive force. Not excessive force by a police can be considered as brutality. Our choice of words hinder us. And just as we said before, the exclusion of voices. Because in the newsroom, we are assigning women to cover only things that are female type. You only want to send a female to cover the gender ministry in our own Liberian scene. We think that it's only female. Well, on that note, we have come to the end of tonight's broadcast. I don't know what's happening there to Bill, who is at the anchor. We have lost him on the camera. And we want to say thank you for listening and thank you for joining us. Honorable Abraham Olukoli Jr., we want to say thank you for listening to us, for the commendation. And we look forward for you joining us again on Thursday. With all that, my name is Samuel Abu. We're here on Waste TV on every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Eastern Time in the United States and 10 o'clock Liberian Time in Monrovia. And we look forward to joining you. And please stay with us for every other time we come on. We want to hear your voices. We give you the number. You can call those numbers and we can listen to what you want to say. We like to discuss trending issues. And we're still looking at several issues that we discuss. So as we are saying, today is another day in the month of September. We'll continue to bring you information on the visit of President Joseph Nyeoma Boakai to the United Nations and also to the United States. We'll continue to follow with the executive mansion. We are very glad we have a president. We are glad that, many things are happening. So we look forward to having you more engaged on Thursday again. Today is Tuesday. You come Thursday at the same time. My name is Samuel Abu, and we want to say good night and thank you so much.